Hi there. I'm trying to figure out this ring light scenario. I moved the location. I don't know. I'm not sure if I like this setup. I'm not sure if I like this light. I feel like it makes my skin look awful. Well, anyway, I actually read the chapter already. I think. What was... Yeah, chapter 3 of Carmilla is what I'm supposed to be reading, and I recorded it on a webcam. Fucking mistake. But I'll be reading this chapter here. It's not very long, it's only 10 pages, but this is gonna be me rereading it, seeing how I like this setup. Yeah, Carmilla chapter 3. Here we go. Chapter 3, we compare notes. We followed the cortege with our eyes. Oh wait, you know what? Maybe, is that better? Yeah, okay, now the attention's not so much on me, but on the book. Chapter 3, we compare notes. We followed the cortege with our eyes until it was swiftly lost to sight in the misty wood. The sound of the hoofs and the wheels died away in the silent night air. Nothing remained to assure us that the adventure had not been an illusion of a moment but the young lady, who just at that moment opened her eyes. I could not see, for her face was turned from me, but she raised her head and looked about, and a very sweet voice whinnied, "Where is Mamma?" Our good Madame Perrodon answered by... Excuse me. I'm chock full of caffeine, so I might be reading way more fast than I should. Our good Madame Perrodon answered tenderly and added some comfortable assurances. I then heard her ask, "Where am I? What is this place?" Then, "I don't see the carriage. And Matska, where is she?" Madame answered all her questions in so far as she understood them, and gradually the young woman remembered how the misadventure came about. She was glad to hear that no one was hurt, but on learning that her mamma had left her here until the return in 3 months, she wept. I was going to add my consolations to those of Madame Perrodon when Mademoiselle de la Fontaine placed her hand upon my arm. "Don't approach," she said. One at a time is as much as she can at present converse with. A very little excitement would possibly overpower her. As soon as she is comfortably in bed, I thought, I will run up to her room and see her. My father in the meantime had sent a servant on horseback for the physician, who lived about 2 leagues away, and a bedroom was being prepared for the young lady's reception. The stranger rose and, leaning on Madame's arm, walked slowly over on my words, I'm tripping all over them. The stranger rose and, leaning on Madame's arm, walked slowly over the drawbridge and through the front gate. In the hall, servants waited to receive her, and she was conducted forthwith to her room. Our drawing room was long, with 4 windows that overlooked the moat and drawbridge and the forest beyond. It was furnished in old carved oak, with large cabinets and chairs cushioned with crimson Utrecht velvet. I don't know what that means. The walls were draped in tapestries surrounded with great gold frames, the figures large as life in an ancient and curious costume, hunting, hawking, and making merriment. It was not so stately as to be uncomfortable. Here we had our tea, for with his usual patriotic leanings, my father insisted that the national beverage should make its appearance regularly with our coffee and chocolate. We sat there that night, and over lit candles discussed the adventure of the evening. Madame Perrodon and Mademoiselle de la Fontaine joined us. The young stranger had hardly lain down in her bed when she descended into a deep sleep, and those ladies had left her in the care of a servant. "How do you like our guest?" I asked as soon as Madame entered. "Tell me all about her?" "I like her extremely," answered Madame. "She is, I almost think, the prettiest creature I ever saw. About your age, and so gentle and nice." "She is absolutely beautiful," added Mademoiselle, who had peeked into the stranger's room. "And such a sweet voice," said Madame Perrodon. "Did you notice the other woman in the carriage, the one who did not get out?" inquired Mademoiselle, "but only looked from the window." "No, we did not see her. Mademoiselle described a hideous black woman with a colored turban on her head who was gazing all the time from the carriage window, grinning sinisterly towards the ladies, with gleaming white eyeballs and teeth set as if in fury. There's a footnote here, footnote 7. Literary scholars have many thoughts about this character, who most believe to be the Matska Carmilla inquires about when she regains consciousness. The character's racist and sexist othering is evident. She also may be the old woman Mademoiselle de la Fontaine talks about in the tale of her cousin, the sailor, the one he dreamt about. Most interestingly, Valerie Guyant suggests in a 2014 paper that Matska, a word which refers to a large cat in Slovenian, Slovakian, Serbian, Romanian, and Hungarian, all languages that would have been spoken in Styria during this era, is in fact the large black cat that appears to both Lara and Bertha. This would explain the striking difference between this encounter, when Lara is terrified, and her later dreams of sensual kisses that leave her weakened but not afraid, she writes. If this is the case, then Carmilla may be innocent of the crimes for which she is executed, offering a unique possibility for critical analysis. That is interesting. Did you notice what an ill-looking pack of men the servants were? Asked Madame. Yes, said my father, who had just come in. Ugly, hangdog-looking fellows, as ever I beheld in my life. I hope they don't rob the poor lady in the forest. They are clever rogues, however. They got everything to rights in a minute. I dare say they are worn out with too long traveling, said Madame. Besides, looking wicked, their faces were so strangely lean and dark and sullen. I am very curious, but I dare say the young lady will tell us all about it tomorrow, if she is sufficiently recovered. I don't think she will, said my father, with a mysterious smile and a little nod of his head, as if he knew more about it than he cared to tell us. This made us all the more inquisitive as to what had passed between him and the lady in the black velvet before her departure. Black velvet. We were scarcely alone when I entreated him to tell me. He did not need much pressing. There is no particular reason why I should not tell you. She expressed a reluctance to trouble us with the care of her daughter, saying she was in delicate health and nervous, but not subject to any kind of seizure. She volunteered that, nor to any illusion, being in fact perfectly sane. How very odd to say all that, I interrupted. It was so unnecessary. In any event, it was said, he laughed. And as you wish to know all that passed, which was indeed very little, I will tell you. She then said, I am making a long journey of vital importance, she emphasized the word, rapid and secret. I shall return for my child in 3 months. In the meantime, she will be silent as to who we are, whence we came, and whither we are traveling. That is all she said. She spoke very pure French. When she said the word secret, she paused for a few seconds, her eyes sternly fixed on mine, and then you saw how quickly she was gone. I hope I have not done a very foolish thing in taking charge of the young lady. For my part, I was delighted. I longed to see and talk to her, and was only waiting till the doctor should give me leave. You who live in towns can have no idea how great an event the introduction of a new friend is in such a solitude as this. The doctor did not arrive till nearly 1 o'clock, but I could no more have gone to my bed and slept than I could have overtaken, on foot, the carriage in which the princess in black velvet had driven away. When the physician came down to the drawing-room, it was to report very favorably upon this patient. She was now sitting up, her pulse quite regular, apparently perfectly well. She had sustained no injury, and the little shock to her nerves had dissipated. There could be no harm certainly in my seeing her, if we both wished it. With this permission, I sent a servant to ask whether she would allow me to visit her for a few minutes in her room. The servant returned immediately to say that she desired nothing more. You may be sure I was not long in availing myself of this permission. Our visitor lay in one of the handsomest rooms in the manor house. It was, perhaps, a little stately. There was a somber piece of tapestry opposite the foot of the bed, representing Cleopatra with the asps to her bosom. There's a footnote here. Footnote 8. Reader, do you remember? Rather than endure the shame of being paraded around by Octavian, she took up an asp and permitted it to bite her. She invited death. I do not remember the tale of Cleopatra at all, so thank you for that handy footnote. Very good foreshadowing. Other solemn, classic scenes were displayed, a little faded, upon the other walls, but there was gold carving and rich and varied color enough in the other decorations of the room to more than redeem the gloom of the old tapestry. There were candles at the bedside. She was sitting up, her slender, pretty figure wreathed in a silk dressing gown embroidered with flowers. She was draped in a thick quilt, which her mother had thrown over her feet as she lay upon the ground. What was it that, as I reached her bedside and began my greeting, struck me dumb in a moment and made me recoil from her? I will tell you. I saw the very face which had visited me in my childhood at night, which remained so fixed in my memory, and on which I had, for so many years, so often, ruminated with horror. It was pretty, even beautiful, and wore the same melancholy expression as when I first beheld it. Her countenance kindled into a strange, fixed smile of recognition. There was a silence of fully a minute, and then at length she spoke. I could not. "How wonderful!" she exclaimed. 12 years ago I saw your face in a dream, and it has haunted me ever since." "Wonderful indeed," I repeated, pushing through the horror that had struck me dumb. 12 years ago, in vision or reality, I certainly saw you. I could not forget your face. It has remained before my eyes ever since." Her smile softened. Whatever I had fancied strange in it was gone, and it and her dimpling cheeks were now delightfully pretty and intelligent. I felt reassured and bid her welcome. I told her how much pleasure her accidental arrival had given us all, and especially what a happiness it was to me. I took her hand as I spoke. I was a little shy, as lonely people are, but the situation made me eloquent and even bold. She pressed my hand, she laid hers upon it, and her eyes glowed as she peered into mine. She smiled again, blushed, and answered my welcome very prettily. I sat down beside her, still wondering, and she said, "I must tell you my vision about you. It is so very strange that you and I should have had of the other so vivid a dream, that each of us should have seen, I you, and you me, looking as we do now, when of course we both were mere children. I was a child, about 6 years old, and I awoke from a confused and troubled dream, and found myself in a room unlike my nursery, wainscoted clumsily in some dark wood. There were cupboards and bedsteads. There were There were cupboards and bedsteads and chairs and benches placed about it. The beds were, I thought, all empty, and the room without anyone but myself in it. After looking around for some time, and admiring especially an iron candlestick with 2 branches, I crept under one of the beds to reach the window, but as I rose, I heard someone crying. Looking up, while I was still upon my knees, I saw you, most assuredly you, as I see you now, a beautiful young lady with golden hair and large blue eyes and lips, your lips, you, as you are here. Your looks won me. I climbed on the bed and put my arms about you, and I think we both fell asleep. I was aroused by a cry. You were sitting up screaming. I was frightened and slipped down upon the ground and, it seemed to me, lost consciousness for a moment. When I came to myself, I was again in my nursery at home. Your face I have never forgotten since. I could not be misled by mere resemblance. You are the lady I saw." It was now my turn to relate my corresponding vision, which I did, to the undisguised wonder of my new acquaintance. "I don't know which of us should be more afraid of the other," she said, again smiling. "If you were less pretty, I think I should be very much afraid of you. But being as you are, and you and I both so young, I feel only that I have made your acquaintance 12 years ago, and have already a right to your intimacy. At all events, it does seem as if we were destined, from our earliest childhood, to be friends. I wonder whether you feel as strangely drawn towards me as I do to you. I have never had a friend. Shall I find one now?" she sighed, and her fine dark eyes lit upon me. The truth is, I felt rather unaccountably towards the beautiful stranger. I did feel, as she said, drawn towards her, but there was also something of repulsion. In this ambiguous feeling, however, the sense of attraction immensely prevailed. She interested and won me. She was so beautiful and so indescribably engaging. I perceived now something of languor. I perceived now something of languor and exhaustion stealing over her, and hastened to bid her good night. "The doctor thinks," I added, "that you ought to have a maid to sit up with you tonight. One of ours is waiting, and you will find her a very useful and quiet creature." "How kind of you, but I could not sleep with an attendant in the room. I shan't require any assistance, and now I shall confess my weakness. I am haunted with a terror of robbers. Our house was robbed once, and 2 servants murdered, so I always lock my door. It has become a habit, and you look so kind, I know you will forgive me." Excuse me. "I see there is a key in the lock." She held me close in her pretty arms for a moment and whispered in my ear, "Good night, darling. It is very hard to part with you, but good night. Tomorrow, but not early, I shall see you again." She sank back on the pillow with a sigh, and her fine eyes followed me with a fond and melancholy gaze, and she murmured again, "Good night, dear friend." Young people like, and even love, on impulse. I was flattered by the evident, though as yet undeserved, fondness she showed me. I liked the confidence with which she at once received me. She was determined that we should be very near friends. The next day came, and we met again. I was delighted with my companion in many respects. Her looks lost nothing in daylight. She was certainly the most beautiful creature I had ever seen, and the unpleasant remembrance of the face presented in my early dream had lost the effect of the first unexpected recognition. She confessed that she had experienced a similar shock on seeing me, and precisely the same faint antipathy that had mingled with my admiration of her. We now laughed together over our momentary horrors. All right, that was chapter 3. We'll see if we keep it up this way recording-wise, but thanks. Chapter 4 coming up soon.